2, 1. Hello and welcome to another episode of A Humanistic Perspective. This week we have the pleasure of sitting down with Chris and Chad for another amazing episode, and we're going to get deep diving in here. Chris, I want to thank you so much for coming on.
Hell yeah. Chris kind of told me about you guys' podcast, and I was like, might as well.
Yeah, of course. So I wanted to start with, what is your age currently? Where are you at in your life right now? And then maybe let's go way back to the beginning. Let's as much as you want, your life story, share for us.
For sure. Well, I'm 22. I actually just turned 22 last week.
Congrats.
I was born.
Happy birthday.
Thank you. I was born exactly 1 month after the other Chris.
Before.
Now, were you born in Illinois? Like, I know you're from the area, correct? Right?
Yeah. So I was born originally in Chicago. So lived there till I was about 4. I lived in River Grove, Illinois, which is like right outside the city. From there, I moved to Bartlett, Illinois.
Mm-hmm.
And then from there, I moved to Montgomery. And then
did you actually go to Yorkville with us?
So I went to Yorkville Middle School for 7th and 8th grade. That's it.
Yeah. What team were you on? Do you remember that?
Yes, actually.
I forgot about the teams, bro.
Oh my gosh.
7th grade, I was on Energy, and 8th grade, I was on Fusion.
Bro, the name.
I don't know if I'm misspoken here, but Energy and Alliance, if those were the ones.
Those were, I think, yeah.
I was only Team Fusion.
You were.
I was 8th.
So
yeah.
Yep. That's when me and Chris met. Was 8th grade.
No way. And like, were you guys hitting it off all the time? Were you like best friends at the time? Or?
Absolutely.
You lived down the street.
Yeah, we lived about 2 blocks away from each other in 8th grade once he moved in and everything. But the first like actual conversation we ever had, I was sitting on the bus playing some like stickman like snowboarding game. Yeah. And this dude just pops his head up from the seat behind me. He's like, bro, that game looked dope. So he jumped seats and we just started talking and found out he lived 2 blocks away from me. We actually had the same history class with our OCD history teacher, Mr. Rice. Mr. Rice. That man
instructor, right?
Yeah.
He was so bad. He drew Sharpie dots on the floor where the desk legs had.
No way.
No joke.
By the end of class,
I that's definitely his, like, he came from like a competitive competition marching background, and that like rudimentary organization that definitely stems from that.
Oh yeah. That's the only class Chris and I had together in 8th grade. Other than that, we would just hang out outside of school and trouble.
So you mentioned then that you transitioned out after middle school. So where did you end up after that?
So I was actually homeschooled for freshman year of high school. And then sophomore till senior year, I did a weird like homeschool private school mix.
Whoa.
It was cool. Did a lot of classes. I hate to say like what was your niche or what was your camp, but what were you doing in school? Were you a sport guy? Were you a tech guy? Were you an engineering guy, music guy? So none of the above. I kind of talked to everyone.
Yeah.
And like I was kind of like cool-ish with everyone. Given Chris and I, like I stuck to him a lot. Middle school was rough for me. I was depressed, dealing with anxiety. I was having some issues. My mind was going through some changes. So I stuck to him, and that man was always around the honeys. He was always around the most beautiful girls at that school.
Crispy out here swaying.
Exposing me.
So I would stick to him, and that was always my in with the ladies.
Hell yeah. Yeah, you got to be the great wingman. Great wingman's going to also, you're Robin. You are Robin. Exactly.
That man used to rock the Justin Bieber haircut and everything.
Yeah.
And then there was me that had acne and braces.
I made some horrible decisions. I wore neon orange high top Osiris's
Yeah, that was
Oh,
Chad.
Cyrus's, bro.
Dude.
Those even a thing anymore?
I don't know. Probably. I'm sure the brand's around, but who knows what facet that they're living in.
Yeah.
Like, those were like the shoes to have
They were
in
pricey,
middle
too.
school.
Yeah, man. They would be like, oh yeah, here's a $85 pair of glossy shoes. Like that's definitely the
Yeah.
move.
Yeah.
Nah.
No, exactly.
Nah.
Nowadays, I'm like, all right, where is there a black pair of comfortable shoes that's very
Right.
neutral?
I wear combat boots all day. So
Yeah. So okay. So what is your title? I'm sorry. We'll get back to middle school, but what is your
Yeah.
title now? So you're 22. You're living in Ohio. What do you or Hawaii? What do you do?
so I actually a year ago, also as of last week, May 5th, is my 1 year in the Air Force.
Wow, congratulations and thank you for our service.
Yeah, thank you. Thanks for the support. It's been fun. Air Force is definitely the bougie branch.
Okay, all right. Explain this a little more for me. Elaborate, please.
So when it comes to like living conditions and like military bearing, I guess Air Force is like the most relaxed. Like every other branch, Marines, Navy, Army, they have to have an actual roommate in their room until they're in E4, rank wise. I got here and immediately got my own room. I have a full size bed. All I share is a bathroom. I have a full fridge. I got everything all to myself.
Brilliant setup.
It is. It's great. I got everything I need. I didn't buy. I got a projector. One of my friends gave it to me for my birthday. So I just have this whole open wall behind me, and I just throw the projector up on there.
So sweet.
I have like a 100-inch TV in my room. Link it up to the laptop. And then as for what I do, so I'm an analyst. I can only say so much of my job. It annoys Chris and a lot of my other friends that I'm like, yeah, work was hell. Oh, what'd you do today? I can't talk about it.
and of course, that's where like I'm hoping I'm just gonna shoot questions and then you I'm sure you know exactly what.
Yeah,
you
you
can
know
and
you.
can't do.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, so that's the thing. There's certain things that I know I can't talk about. There's certain things I know I can talk about. There's also a gray area. And at this point, I'm just too scared to ask about what I can say.
Now,
yeah,
are you?
that's fine.
We can submit this if you want to get it cleared before we upload it. If that's
It'll be fine.
Okay.
I'll keep it very like brief when it comes to work.
Cool.
I don't really like talking about work outside of work because I'm there from 6 a.m. till anywhere between 12:30 and 2 p.m. And my brain is just numb by the end of it.
Yeah.
So
yeah, I do want to get into sort of how you got. I guess how you found your place in the Navy with wanting to go that track when like you're going through the recruitment process. But
yeah.
Let's go back to middle school finishing up. You're homeschooling in high school. You're doing a hybrid. What was the private school you were hybriding with?
So I was hybriding with Yorkville Christian High School.
Okay.
They were just starting up in my sophomore year in a little warehouse right down the street from YHS. And it started out with like maybe 10, 15 people total. And now they have a giant building next to Yorkville Middle School.
I've seen it over there. Yep.
Yeah.
Really?
They have that huge building. They have like 2-3 gymnasiums in that building.
Wow.
They have a ton of students now. And I visited when I came home on leave around Thanksgiving. I visited there just to catch up with teachers and all that. And it was like cool seeing how much this school has grown because I was there their very first year. And now I'm an alumni from there. And it's like, holy crap, you have a ton of people here now. Like
that's a beautiful thing to see too, is like when something can grow from a seeding point like that. And as you get older, you get to watch it mature. I get that same feeling, I think, from watching my siblings grow up as well. Like,
for sure. Yeah, I get that. Like with being like that first class at the school, it's like the first year I was there, it was cool. My graduating class from there was 5 people.
Wow.
That was my graduating class.
Wow.
So like
year was 5 people.
Gym, everything. It
know
was
this.
just 5 of you guys just like hanging out, roaming. Like what classes did you take there?
So at Yorkville Christian, being there sophomore through senior year, I don't even remember half of them. I know my my senior year was so chill because I had almost every credit I needed to graduate, except for a couple electives and like a couple of other basic courses. So I had 4 study halls my senior year. I had 4 hours where I would just chill at the school and watch Netflix on my laptop and work, catch up on homework. And I would mess around with the teachers. Teachers would just take me and my friends to McDonald's, and we would do whatever. With a school that small, it's like a family at that point. Like our senior like trip was the owner of the school paid for us all to go to Six Flags.
Whoa.
And we were just there messing around, all 5 of us.
That's awesome.
So that was fun.
You graduate, did you do ROTC or what was your path?
No.
Like, is your family a family of service?
So my dad was in the Marine Corps before I was born, like right after Vietnam area. He was in the Marine Corps, and he raised me like with that kind of structure. My dad is a very logical man, not a very emotional man.
Sure.
Great cook though. Isn't that right, Chris?
Oh yeah, his
had
curry
food?
rice.
Oh,
Yes,
I love
sir.
Indian.
Curry rice,
I
man.
love Indian.
Yes.
So it's a
Fantastic.
weird mix of Indian and Japanese.
Okay.
Because my dad's half Japanese and half German.
That's unique. Where did he grow up? If you don't mind.
So he grew up on like the more southern side of Chicago, I believe.
Okay.
And my mom grew up, I think, on the north side of Chicago.
That's funny. My parents have
So-
a very similar story to that.
Yeah, they grew up. I think they met. My mom was 14 and my dad was 16 when they first met.
Wow.
Crap.
And they got married. They got married when my mom was 16 and my dad was 18.
Wow. Whoa. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Congrats to them.
And they're still together today. And now
Rolling
it's
on.
just those two in the house now that I'm gone because I'm the baby of the family.
Okay. Yeah. You're the youngest. Do you have any other
Yeah.
siblings? Or?
I have 2 older sisters.
Okay.
Both of them have 3 kids each. They're both married, everything. So I'm the baby, but I got 3 nieces and 3 nephews.
Yeah, well, I was gonna say, what do they think of your like being in Hawaii and stuff, or do they know like that you're in the Navy, or like what do they think? Are they like, what's going on?
So my nieces and nephews, they know I'm in the Air Force,
Right.
but they're like, when's Theo coming home? When's Unc coming home? And my sisters and my parents are just like, we don't know. Eventually, but not for a while.
So, do you have a strict like schedule, or do you have downtime? Like, what's your routine look like?
My schedule is pretty straightforward here. I mean, I'm up at like 4 a.m. every day. And I get up, get ready for work, eat breakfast, and I drive to work. I'm there from 6 a.m. Until either 12:30 or 2, depending on the day. So because I'm military, I'm allowed to take 3 days a week where I get to leave work 90 minutes early to work out.
Nice. That's
So-
nice.
It is. So I normally take those. It depends on the week. Like this week, I have a ton of meetings in the afternoon.
Mhm.
So I wasn't able to take one today. I won't be able to take one tomorrow. So I took one Tuesday, Wednesday, and I'll take probably a partial one tomorrow and just dip out after my last meeting.
Sure.
So the schedule's pretty straightforward. And then once I'm off work there, I'm done for the day. Like unless I have something else that I have to do work related, I'm done. I come home, I either work out or I put on a show and mess around, see what my buddies are doing and go from there.
Okay. Are you living on base, or do you guys have like apartments? Are you in like civilian housing? Like, how does that work?
So I'm in E3 in the Air Force, which is an airman first class. So E4 and below all live in, we call them dorms. They're barracks, but they're not really barracks because they're too nice to be barracks. But I live on base. So I live on Hickam Field, Hickam Air Force Base, which is attached to Pearl Harbor. So
Wow.
Pearl Harbor is right down the street.
No kidding.
It's always cool seeing the boats that are docked there, things like that. Some cool stuff has came through. so far since I've been here, and I got here in December.
What's the coolest you've seen? Could you give some examples?
Ooh, so the coolest ship that I've seen, I think it was a Spanish ship. And it looked like an old-fashioned Spanish ship, but made out of metal. It was weird. So like it looked old-fashioned, it looked like it had sails, it looked like it had all that, but everything was just metal. And at night they would light it up with like red, green, and white lights at night. So it would look really cool at night when I would drive past if I'm going to like my buddy's room or whatever.
Sure.
So yeah, that's probably the coolest ship that I've seen over there.
Dang, that's sick. So let's go back to like the ROTC transition period, that part of your life.
So I was never in ROTC. Joining the military was actually a very like short notice, like, hey, I'm gonna pursue this type of thing. So after high school, I went to Wabanzi and got my associates from there.
Nice.
I just got a general associates. I was looking into doing criminal justice originally. Jumped from criminal justice to automotive technician, from automotive technician to business management.
Wow.
So I just took a whole slew of electives trying to find what I wanted to do.
Right.
Nothing really stuck out at me. And so after I got my associates, I kind of took a step back and just was working 40 hours, 50 hours a week. Because I was working at Best Buy at the time.
Okay.
I worked at Best Buy from when I was 16 all the way until right before I left. So
Holy
for
cow.
5 years, I worked
You
my way
grinded
up.
that.
I did. I worked my way up. So I started part-time, did really well, and just kept going up, making pretty solid money overall, just putting in a lot of hours, a lot of time. And then I took a year off, I think, something like that, like a semester or a year. I don't remember the exact timeline. After I got my associates from Wabanzi, I was just sitting back and I was like, now what? I toured. What college was it? I toured Northern Illinois University with my parents one day, and I was like, this, as cool as this would be, it just doesn't feel right. And then I was eating dinner with my parents. They were just like, so you need to either find a college or you can look into joining the military. It's up to you. And so I started looking into that kind of career path. And in that conversation, my dad looked at me and told me that if I joined the Marine Corps, he would kill me.
And why is that?
He said it was the worst 4 years of his life. My dad hated them. My dad was not a fan of the Marines. And any Marine that I have met will say the same thing, that they hate their life.
Wow. It's intense.
It's super intense. The Marine Corps is super strict, and they're great. Like, they are super good at what they do. They are all gunners. They are all good shooters. They're fighters. They're insane. They get a bad rap, but some of my best friends here are Marines.
That's awesome. So you guys all intermingled, all the branches?
So it depends on where you work. Like, there's some people that work like strictly with Airforce. If you work on like the flight line, things like that. If you work on the ship, it's all strictly Navy. Me, I work in like a more office type environment where I work with Army, Navy, Marines, and civilians all in the same area.
Sure.
So we all kind of intermingle. So I have friends that are Army, Navy, Marines, Air Force. I have friends in all the different branches.
Now, do you have to wear, are you wearing a suit or a uniform at work?
Uniform. So I still wear my normal Air Force military uniform, which honestly isn't that uncomfortable. It feels like pajamas most of the day.
Nice.
Pajamas with a lot of pockets and combat boots. But yeah, so I wear my uniform every day going into work. And that's how you kind of differentiate everyone depending on what they're wearing at work. It's kind of funny. You see them walking down the hall, you're like, well, okay, there's a lot of Navy here. There's no Air Force here today. depending on what the branches schedule are. Because I essentially, where I work, I have my more civilian chain of command, and then I also have my Air Force chain of command. So I'm juggling almost 2 type of jobs at the same time, but they're all to get mixed together in a way.
Sure.
So I'll get calls from the other side, and I'll get calls from the Air Force. And I'm like, what do you guys want from me?
What is the difference in task when you're on the civilian side versus the Air Force side?
So it depends. Like I have my Air Force squadron, which is just like the unit that I belong to.
Okay.
And most people in my squadron worked in the same area that I do, or at least a similar job that I do. So it's not super different, but the Air Force will have their own scheduling things for like training or PT testing or other things like that. And then on the civilian side, it's the same thing. We have meetings, we have trainings, just different things. And it's balancing those schedules, which they actually do a really good job at, luckily.
That's awesome.
The communication is very open because it's that kind of environment. They've kind of worked it through very well.
Mm-hmm. So your recruitment officer, how did you get recruited? And you're told, do not join the Marine Corps.
Yes. So I started looking into the Air Force, looking into like different jobs, into like the computer tech side of stuff.
Were you good with computers? Like you did the automotive stuff back at Wabanzi. So like, did it translate, or were you also a tech guy at the same time, or?
So cars and technology are like my two main things that I love. I am a huge gearhead, and technology, I'm a huge nerd when it comes to technology.
You got blessed, bro.
Yeah,
with the skill sets that your hobbies are in. That's amazing.
Did he tell you about Best Buy at all?
Yeah. He worked there for 5 years
dude.
on the grind.
Also, he did Raging Waves for a bit too at the same time. Yeah, it was crazy.
So when I was 17, I worked at both Raging Waves and Best Buy at the same time. So I would work Raging Waves from about 5 in the morning till about 2-3 in the afternoon.
Okay.
And then I would go straight from Raging Waves to Best Buy and work till like 9 o'clock.
Wow.
I was
dedication.
I was hustling for a little bit.
So like when you first went through recruitment, the like strict regimented schedule of training and going through all that was not going to be too difficult then if you were grinding that, or
no. So my recruiter was awesome. My recruiting office was in Downers Grove.
Okay.
So that's where I went to my recruiter. We talked. I took the ASVAB in Elgin, I think. And did well, did all my processing, and then it was a waiting game after that point. So I was they called it the delayed entry program, based on your job. So after I passed the ASVAB, they're like, and had all my physicals, blood work, all that. They're just like, here's the jobs you qualify for. Right off the bat.
What was the list?
So the list, it was massive. It was all technology based or maintenance based, things like that. So, but there were a lot of jobs that I didn't qualify for because I'm colorblind.
Could you not fly?
So I can't be a pilot. I can never go airborne either. So I can't even work on a flight crew.
No, really?
So I can't do any kind of electrician work. There's a lot of maintenance jobs that I'm not allowed to do either because, hey, go cut the red wire. Which one's the red wire? Type thing. So a lot of my stuff was all, hey, you're going to work in an office on a computer doing this, things like that. And so I chose to be an analyst. And looking at the job description, because I got all the job codes, the titles, and I had to find the description myself. When I looked up this one, it was the most like not bland, but like the most generic like job description that you could ever have. I didn't even know what I was going to be doing until I got in one, technically.
Wow.
Yeah.
What was it? So the paper was like, you're going to work with us.
Like that. So I can actually pull up like my job description really quick.
Yeah, that would be interesting. I'd love to hear it.
Let me pull it up. It's just a basic description on Google.
Yeah, no, totally.
Let me see here.
Yeah, it's super funny. I remember when he was going through, like, finding the paths that he wanted to take.
Yeah,
he was so stoked to like find this one. It was so funny.
What's one that has like a badass name for a job role?
So my job role, technically, I say analyst, but I'm technically what's called a fusion analyst.
Wait, could you repeat the first word?
Fusion.
Fusion analyst. Sorry,
Yeah.
Zoom was like.
Yeah.
Naturally.
Fusion. Dude, middle school coming back, bro.
I know, man. Middle school, Team Fusion.
Seriously.
They really updated my my job description on the Airforce website, at least. So
promoted and don't even know.
So is this like what you have to send your parents when you first get your job, and they're like, well, we want to know more information. You're like, well, I can only show so much. And then you like send this link.
That's pretty much what it is.
Yeah.
Complete fake information.
You're like,
so
I'm a tour guide for dolphin shows.
You know why?
It's crazy. Like when I do talk to my parents, they're like, what do you do on a daily basis? I'm like, I stare at a computer screen.
Yeah. Do you have blue light glasses?
I don't. No.
You should get some.
I should, but blue light's never really bugged me. My eyes are already shot anyway.
Right.
Like I'm wearing contacts right now anyway too. So my eyes are garbage. It's awful.
So could you read the description? I would love to hear what it says.
Oh yeah. I got sidetracked, sorry.
No, you're totally fine.
So they updated the description online, so I could kind of read through that. The Fusion analysts determine the value and implications of intelligence that we receive from target network communications. These specialists gauge the impact of the information and distribute their findings to decision makers to take timely action.
Wow,
crazy.
That seems pretty crucial.
It is a critical job. Absolutely.
Do you know the history of your division? Is this something that came heavily more after 9/11, or was this something that was very strong before that?
So I'm not 100% sure. When it comes to my squadron, it's actually a fairly new squadron. They started a few years back, but they were a piece of a different squadron originally. And then that squadron got too big, so they split it. But my guess is probably the 9/11 era, things like that, probably help jumpstart the type of squadron that I'm in.
I want to go back to before we completely keep going forward into what the career is. Okay, recruitment. So are you training? Is there two boot camps? Is there like physical boot camp and then coding boot camp? Because you're finally like, okay, I'm going to be a fusion analyst.
So most people know their job before they even get to basic, because that determines when you leave for basic normally. So I knew my job code, I knew my job title, I just didn't know my job. And then I left for basic on May 3rd last year. I left for basic on my birthday. Last year. So my 21st birthday, I drove to my recruiter's office and was like, hey, it's time to go, right? He's like, yes, it is. Said bye to mom and dad, and I was gone.
Was that a weird dynamic, being that it was your birthday?
It was. So my mom actually that day, COVID was a thing still. It was really weird. Yeah. So what my mom did was she completely surprised the hell out of me. She's just like, hey, I think someone's outside here to see you. And I'm just like, there's nobody at the door. So I go outside, and a ton of friends, my high school principal, people I work with, the damn
Dang.
fire department are all doing like a parade past my house.
Wow.
And all the neighbors on my block came out. They're all holding signs like "Happy Birthday" and "Good luck," those kind of things. And I'm like,
that's such a good feeling, I bet.
it was cool. It freaked me out a little bit because I'm like, Mom, I told you not to do anything.
Oh, that's
Yeah.
so me. That's what I would do.
I'm like, I literally told her, like, Mom, it's just another day. Like, my birthday to me doesn't feel like anything's at all.
Yes. That's the day I want to be left alone.
Most of the time, yeah, same. And so all this is happening, and then they go around the block, they park, and everyone's like talking, whatever. My sisters brought some food, and we're all chilling. Then I look at my watch, and it's time to go. So I say bye to everyone, drive to Downers Grove. Mom's crying because she's sad. Because in basic training, you don't have your phone at all. You have
And she's sending her little boy off.
Yeah, on his
Exactly.
birthday.
Oh,
Yeah, that's
On
on
my
his
21st birthday, everything hit her super hard.
that's rough.
yeah.
Um,
I can't imagine. Man.
So-
And I'm sure you're like, how were you feeling? What was your mindset? Because like you're literally about to leave and change your entire life.
Exactly. So I was excited, but also nervous.
Yeah.
Like it was definitely a weird feeling. Like, hey, I'm going out on my own for the first time ever. I'm going to be in another state. I'm going to be off doing God knows what and God knows where.
Mm-hmm.
And so I leave, and so I was checked into the hotel at MEPS, Marine or Military Enlistment Program, something. So they have a hotel where they keep people that are about to leave. So I'm at that hotel the night of May 3rd and the night of May 4th. So May 4th, I did all my processing and like signed my final contract, everything. May 5th, I catch a flight at like 10 o'clock in the morning, me and a few other people that were leaving that day. And so we catch the flight. First flight goes to Dallas, Fort Worth, DFW. And then the next flight goes from DFW to San Antonio. And San Antonio is where basic training is.
Okay.
So we get to the airport in San Antonio, and we're walking down the stairs. We have our bags, and we see the campaign hat, a big, wide hat that the MTIs wear, the military trainers.
Yeah.
And immediately, shit starts hitting the fan.
Are they screaming, or are they just being like stern at this point?
They're already yelling at the airport, like, get in line, get your phone out of your pocket, send a text saying you landed safely, put it in your bag, turn it off, and don't touch it again. Love all this, like already yelling. Then they're like, get out this, and this paperwork. We need to see it. And the first thought that crosses your mind when you step foot there is like, what did I just get myself into?
Yeah.
And
wow.
It's like you get to the airport. It was already dark when I got there. So it was probably about almost 8 o'clock when I got to the airport in San Antonio. And so there's buses that come pick us up from the airport to take us to basic training. So we get on these buses, we file in, and we call it zero night, night zero. You get to where you're going to be living for basic training. And I went through COVID basic, so there were a lot of things that were different too.
Let's talk about that.
Yeah, so COVID basic. So tons of new rules, like you have to wear a mask all the time. Your first 2 weeks, all you really do is stay in the barracks and do very basic training, like minimal training, because we're on restriction of movement, pretty much be quarantined.
And
so
is this
all we
when
do
you normally are doing like hand-to-hand combat with partners? Is this normally when you're doing like, a lot of team building activities and like physical training with partners, or no?
So we still had physical training. There isn't a whole, at least that I know of, there's not a whole lot of partner piece till the end of basic. Because with the other branches like Army, Marines, they have that physical training, they have that combat training, they have all that. With Air Force, there's not a whole lot of combat jobs.
Right.
So it's definitely more of, hey, work as a team, learn the military bearing that you're going to need, learn what these ranks are, learn this, and that. While yes, you still have your PT, physical training, you still have your strict discipline, your marching, things like that. You march everywhere in basic.
Wow.
It's very strict. You do one thing wrong, you're gonna get yelled at for the next 5 minutes. That was my phone. Sorry.
Oh no, you're totally okay.
So super like strict everything. It was crazy. And so basic training, night 0, you're immediately getting yelled at. And it's, you get to your barracks and you start unpacking your stuff and the MTI is in your face yelling at you the whole time. And you're freaking out and you're like, and at this point it's 9-10 o'clock at night.
Sure.
And you're like, what is going on? Why am I here? You're already like breaking down and starting to have like a panic attack because you're freaking out.
Yeah, it's shell shock to the new experience.
It is 100%. And you're getting everything set up. You don't go to bed until like 2 a.m. that first night.
Wow.
And then the next morning you wake up to reveille, which is a sound that makes me want to die still.
What does it sound like?
So it's the trumpets that
yeah,
that's reveille. That's what wakes us up every morning in basic training.
That's a bop, bro.
Yeah.
Not when it's not when it's playing at 4 a.m.
Do they play it like now are they outside like in the movies or are they in your hall playing that like in your ear?
So it's playing through speakers in the ceiling and the hallway outside.
Evil.
It's playing everywhere on the entire base.
So it gets
it's awful.
Captains and everyone. Like it gets high rank all the way down.
Everyone that lives on base hears it, and it's awful.
It must be so insane. I would love to see a time lapse outside the building when that goes off to see how just the whole building comes to life like as one.
That would be
it is. And like that second day, day 1, it's our first full day there, and we're still like getting set up. We're still getting yelled at. The entire time you're there, you're getting yelled at.
Oh my.
It never stops.
They're just trying to, I feel like they're just trying to break any comfortability that they could possibly.
That's exactly what it is. So the whole point of basic training is to break down everything that you were and rebuild you as a part of a unit, as part of this new team, this new person. And it's crazy because it works. Like 100%, I am a completely different person than I was when I went to basic training.
Chris, do you think you notice that? Like, do you think you can notice it at all in his like demeanor or personality? Like,
well, yeah, but at the same time, it's like
he's still the same friend from middle school.
Yeah, he's still Chris. He's still my brother. You know what I mean? Because like we've known each other for, 8th grade. I can't even do math like that. Yeah. You know, it's just so long. But he definitely is, different in a way. I'm sure when it comes down to certain situations, like he'd know how to handle them.
Yeah. Yeah. Like his mental processes are probably way different than that.
Absolutely. Everything like with Chris and like with my closest friends, I can turn it on and off. Yeah. Like I know
I'm sure.
who I can be like comfortable with and be who I used to be. Yeah. But when it comes to like out in public here, or like I'm just meeting someone new, I represent this branch, this organization. So I have to present myself as such, which means like keep your composure, be confident, things like that. So I could you get really good at turning it on and off.
And that's probably one of the
keeping-
other things too, is situational awareness. Your situational awareness
Absolutely.
is really good.
Absolutely. That definitely helps. And turning it on and off like that, it gets exhausting sometimes. But it becomes second nature eventually. So going through basic training, with COVID especially, was super weird. Like anytime we marched, we had to march 6 feet apart from each other.
Really?
Yeah. So like in the movies, you'll see they're marching, they're like shoulder to shoulder.
Boom.
Yeah.
They're right next to each other. Marching 6 feet apart from someone is so difficult because you have to keep that distance.
And
so,
matching up the cadence
That's
of your
marching
feet.
band, bro.
Yeah, we get that from marching band
Yeah.
back in the day.
We had
It's
to do that
way
shit.
harder.
Yeah.
Insane.
It's so difficult, like keeping that distance, keeping your step in sync with the person in front, next to you, behind you, everything. And
if
looking
you get
forward
out
the
of
whole
alignment,
time.
are you getting yelled at immediately?
Yes. So if you get out of step, you get lit up, or he'll just call you out in cadence. Like I messed up in the beginning. Everyone does, but there were some people that would still mess up toward the end sometimes. And at that point, he's just like, "Pray me, why can't you march?" Like in cadence. And one of my MCIs, one of his favorite sayings, especially toward the end, is like we would mess up like something small, something that we've been doing for weeks, and he's just like, "Why the hell are you guys acting brand new?" And this dude, he was short too. Both of my MCIs were short, but they were like well-built people too.
Yeah, dude,
Yeah, I bet.
they're
I freaking
ripped.
bet.
They're jacked, I bet.
They're big, they're pretty toned, like very well physically fit guys, but they're tiny. So you get guys like me that are 6'2", and you have this guy that's like 5'9" yelling at you, and you're just like, "You're short, but I'm still terrified of you."
Yeah.
So then we have this 1 week in basic training called Beast Week. It's where it's like a mock deployment type situation.
Nice.
So we leave our barracks and they drive us to a different like base. And this base, it's much more wilderness type. Like there's woods everywhere. It's just dirt everywhere. You live in a tent and you sleep on a cot.
Super simulation.
Super, like you're in it.
Yeah.
And that's where like we do our firearm training, which for Airforce, our firearm training is only a day. 1 day.
What are you guys training on? ARs or?
So we train on M4s.
M4s. Nice.
Yeah. And it's fun. The M4 is definitely a fun weapon to mess with. I've gotten to train with it twice.
How
now
quickly
because
can
I
you
needed-
build and take it apart and reassemble?
In basic training, that's all I did. So I got really good at it.
Hell yeah.
Nice.
So, because we had our trainer weapons, which it's the same thing, but the firing mechanism, the actual trigger itself was disabled.
Yeah.
And we obviously don't have live ammo in the dorms. So we had our trainer weapons, and once we get the all clear to do that, or if we have any downtime in basic, they're like, okay, either clean, make sure all the threads are clipped off your uniforms, or practice with your weapon. So a lot of us, because it was fun, we would just practice disassembling, reassembling, picking up different positions of like firing, things like that. And so by the time we got to firearm training, we were actually really pretty solid with our weapons. It's just the shooting part where we never done before on most of us. So we get there, we're shooting. We all do. It's pretty easy to pass, honestly. Like they give you a red dot sight with in basic. It's pretty straightforward. And Beast Week is normally where you get tear gassed.
Yeah, I was just about to ask, are they still doing that during COVID?
During COVID, no. So they haven't. My flight or my unit.
So are you saying you haven't been tear gassed yet?
I have never been tear gassed.
No way.
Whoa! Is this a rarity? Is this something that veterans and old senior members are going to be like, damn, your class got it easy?
Yep, 100%. Already I've gotten it because people that have gone through basic like 2 years ago, they're already like, man, you didn't get tear gassed? What the hell?
Yeah, they're like pissed. They're like, gosh, man, I don't know how. I guess it'd be interesting to experience. Were you nervous for that? Did they
So
tell
I
you right
wanted it.
away?
I
You
wanted to
wanted
get tear
it.
gassed.
Yeah, why not? I guess to
Um,
experience the
I-
full simulation.
Right. I went there to get the full experience.
Yeah.
And Beast Week doesn't happen until week 7. So you're almost done. It's like, yeah, this is who I am now. You're living that life.
Yeah.
So you get there and you get to Beast and you're like, okay, I'm going to shoot a gun. I'm going to get gassed. We're going to have a night raid. All this stuff's going to happen. And with COVID, we get to Beast and they're like, yep, y'all ain't getting gas. There's not going to be a night raid. It's just like,
I'm
well,
confused
what
why they couldn't gas you guys. It's like,
so
is it because
of
the after process where all of you guys are demasked outside spitting and just
yeah, exactly. So there's that. And then we don't own our own gas masks either. So we'd be sharing gas masks from a previous person. So just the whole contamination thing with COVID, especially because that was when COVID was like still fairly new, like just a few months old. So people were still freaking out, like buying way too much toilet paper, things like that.
Yeah, you guys were on high alert. Yeah, no, I'm sure it was.
Exactly. So then after Beast, then you have a week of just normal life again. And Beast is like that last, like, hoorah, like we're almost done.
Now, how many of your classmates or peers are dropping out or choosing to leave next to you?
So in my flight, we also had smaller flight sizes in basic training because of COVID. We had to have a bed between each one of us. So a normal flight is about 50 to 60 people. My flight was 28.
Wow. Significantly
from the beginning.
Smaller.
Yes. And we only lost 2 people due to medical concerns.
Okay.
And the medical concerns were one guy got a kidney stone toward the end of basic.
Oh no.
And then a different guy, he was experiencing COVID-like symptoms.
So do they quarantine you and you're done?
They threw him in a hotel room on an on-base hotel and said, you stay here while we do your tests. And they tested all of us as well to make sure that none of us got COVID, because otherwise we all would have stayed there for an extra 2 weeks, and none of us wanted to stay there an extra 2 weeks.
Yeah, seriously. So you at this point you're not doing any coding or technical training like that?
No, not at all. So you graduate basic. We didn't even get, because of COVID, a real graduation. So normally a normal Airforce graduation, the family comes down and they're allowed to come see you graduate, get your airman's coin, have this whole ceremony where you march down the flight line and everything.
When you come back, I would love to see your airman's coin. That sounds so cool.
I have it. It's actually in the drawers next to me.
Shoved in the drawer right now.
It is actually. I have all my patches and points that I have.
Oh, nice.
Any ribbons that I've gotten, everything are all just together. Yep, it's right here. So it's nothing fancy, but it's a cool little coin.
Yeah. Nice. That's neat. That's neat.
Are you gonna like frame it when you get home or something? Like put it in a case or on a metal or something?
Probably not. I mean, it's a participation award.
Oh, okay. Everyone gets that. It's not anything special.
Everyone gets it. It's not anything special. It's just like, hey, you did it. You passed. But because of COVID, my family couldn't be there. all I had was a coin ceremony. I didn't have an actual graduation ceremony. And then, so we graduate on June 25th is when I graduated basic training.
Is that when
June
they pull out a piece of paper and they're like, you're going to Hawaii?
No, not even.
Oh.
I didn't. Next base I went to was Goodfellow Airforce Base in San Angelo, Texas.
Okay.
And that's where I go through my technical training. So I fly out of, still in Texas. Some people go to different bases. Some are in California. It depends on your job. Mine happened to still be in Texas. So bright and early, June 26th, I am flying out of San Antonio to San Angelo, and get to San Angelo, and we're on another bus. And I have my phone back, like I'm happy. I text this school, and I'm just like, "Hey, I'm alive."
Yeah.
My head is still bald. Everything. And so I'm catching up on everything I've missed, and we're pulling up to Goodfellow, and the bus driver's like, "Hey, y'all ready for 0 Day Part 2?" And we all look at each other and we're like, "You're kidding me. No, it better not be like 0 Night." So we're all slightly freaking out. And we get there, and the military training leader comes on to the bus. And
Wearing the big white hat too, the brim?
No. So those are the big hats are only in basic training for the Air Force.
Got it.
After that, they just look like everyone else, except they have a rope on their uniform, blue rope normally. So he steps on the bus, and he just looks at us, and he goes, "All right, there's a truck coming. Get your shit out the back of it. Meet me in the conference room." We're like, "Wait, what? You're not going to yell at us? You're not going to have us like do anything like that?"
You're ready for instant PTSD back to day 0.
Right. Absolutely.
Yeah.
And so we grab our bags out of the back of the semi truck that pulls up, because we all have our big green duffel bags that we got in basic, plus our civilian luggage that we brought 2 days. And so he starts calling our names and gives us our room key, because now it's like a college dorm room that I'm living in with one other person at Goodfellow. So it's just me and a roommate. So we have.
And
our
at this
room
point,
keys.
you guys are just Fusion analysts together, right?
Yep. So I drop my stuff off in our room, and so we start going back down to the conference room. Turns out there's something else going on in the conference room. So we're all standing outside, and the leader comes up. He's like, "Actually, let's take this upstairs. We're gonna go to the movie theater." And
You're like, this is not at all like day 0.
We all stop, and we're like, "Did he just say movie theater upstairs?" And so we all just climb the stairs, 2nd floor. Sure enough, there's a movie theater with like 20 recliners in it, a big projector, speakers in the wall.
Yeah, bro. Yeah.
Is this why they call it bougie training?
Yeah.
Damn right. And so we sit down, and he starts giving us like our introduction orientation. And one of my friends that I made in basic, she asks, "Hey, what's the wingman policy here?" So in basic, we couldn't go anywhere unless we had somebody else with us. We were always in a pair. And so she asked, "Hey, what's the wingman policy here?" He looks at her and just goes, "What wingman policy? You do what you want."
That's so badass.
And we're all looking at each other like, "Wait, we have freedom?" Like, we just rolled up here and we have all of our freedom back, essentially.
Sure.
And he assigns us like basic jobs, like, and we have to meet downstairs outside at 7 a.m. when we like the first week that we're there, things like that. Super relaxed from the
Are the
very
trumpets going off
there.
here? The
Nope. All we had there was at like 5 p.m. they played the national anthem. So if you got caught outside during that, you have to stand at attention. And if you're in uniform, you have to salute. So they give a 5-minute warning before the national anthem plays. Everyone is running as fast as they can to the nearest like car to get into or building to get into because nobody wants to stand outside during the national anthem.
I'm sure when you have to do it Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday.
Yeah.
It's all like here, the base I live on now, they play the national anthem at 8 a.m. Every day. And they play what's called colors at sundown. So if you're outside at either of those times, you're standing at attention or you're saluting if you're in uniform.
Right.
So everyone, as soon as they hear the 5-minute warning, if there's a building nearby, they are rushing to that building.
I wonder what that looks like outside. Like if you just have like a drone or like just watching, like
are there any noobs that are like, why is everyone running around me? And they're like just standing there.
Everyone knows. You hear that 5-minute warning, you're like, it's time. But you mentioned drones. The base, actually, this base, I'm not sure if it's all bases, are no drone zones. We're not allowed to fly drones on base. Just due to the fact that it could show the location of every building that we have then.
Yeah.
Now, being stationed in Hawaii, do you guys have on-site, you know how we use like a lot of drone operations now and that's all done remotely mostly? Are those people stationed on boats or are those people stationed on a base side like in Hawaii?
So it varies. As far as I know, we don't have any drones here. But I know there are bases that do mainly drone operations.
Sure.
So they're all at bases, and those are the bases that drone operations go to. But here, the main aircraft that we have here are C-17 cargo planes and F-22s. Those are the main two aircraft that we have here that are the Air Forces. We always are having like Australian planes flying in. We're always like, I live right next to the flight line, like in the middle of the night.
Do you hear that all night?
All day and all night. If I'm home, I hear aircraft.
So can you just fall asleep to it now?
Yes, I'm very much used to it. I've gotten really good at forcing myself, like, hey, it's time to sleep. And then I tell myself that I'm out within like 10 minutes.
I want that. I want that power.
So you get really good at it during basic training because you're on such a strict regimen.
You literally have to get those Z's then.
Exactly. Because you have exactly 8 hours of sleep during basic. If you don't fall asleep 2 hours in, you're only getting 6, and then you're going to be up that entire time because we're not allowed to nap, obviously, during basic.
No.
During tech school, that's a different story.
We got to pick back up. You're in the movie theater. I'm curious. Are you guys sitting down and watching something, or what are you doing?
No. So he's just giving us a briefing. And after the briefing, he's like, "All right, go unpack. You're done for the day." And it's like 1 p.m.
Did you guys just go explore?
That's so me and my roommate, we changed and we just started exploring the base. We're walking around. We went to get food at the dining facility. Yeah. And this is like the first like good food that we've had in 2 months. So we're like, holy shit, like I could get a Philly cheesesteak. And that's the first thing I got when I got to Goodfellow was a Philly cheesesteak, a cheeseburger, and a pizza.
You went ham.
I went ham, and I was drinking Sprite. I was so happy.
Hell yeah.
Because I'm like, holy.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, I was gonna. What is your training like now? So what are you doing?
So there, the first week we did what's called squadron casuals, where it's basic stuff, cleaning while we wait for our class to start. So my class started a week after I got there, so I was lucky. There's some people that are sitting there waiting for 6 months for their class to start until a spot opens up because there's just so many people coming in.
Wow.
So my class starts a week after I get there. And again, because of COVID, they restructured that too. So the first 3 blocks, so the first 3 weeks was distance learning. So I had my laptop and I'm typing essays for 3 weeks, little tests here and there, video calls here and there. And I'm
Essay. So is this just to get your empirical thinking and writing skills further developed?
pretty much.
In order to
Like-
do the second part of that mission that I heard earlier, which was like you get telecommunications and you have to be able to disseminate that. So like the
Pretty much.
writing is to be able to disseminate.
Pretty much. So it's about like how to critical think or things like that.
Are these fun
so
essays? Are they military-based essays?
They're god awful. So you crank them out day by day, and I was done with my essay. So we started at 8 in the morning for distance learning. And I was done no later than like 11, 12 o'clock.
Wow.
And so I finished my essay, I turned it in. Normally I would finish like during lunchtime, and I would just turn it in right when lunchtime was over. And the rest of the day, I just messed around. Like I was on call until 3 every day, but that on call meant that I was playing games on my computer or napping.
Wow.
Like me
Total
and my
different
roommate-
experience.
Oh,
than basic.
absolutely. Absolutely. Me and my roommate both, like, while we're supposed to be in class, like, one of us would just be asleep. And if something happened that was important, we just smack each other, like, hey, wake up. Stuff's happening. And we finish up and it was awesome. Me and my roommate back at Goodfellow, we became good friends. We were in the same class, everything.
Are you guys stationed in the same area now or no?
No. So he's stationed in Maryland.
Okay.
And so we don't find out our assignment until 30 days after we get to Goodfellow. So we're still in distance learning. And our instructor is just like, hey, today's you guys' 30-day mark. You should be coming up on your assignment. You should know your assignment pretty soon. And so we go online and we check our Airforce network to see our assignment.
Do you know any of the bases yet that you could potentially go to?
Yes. So we learned that in basic training. We make what's called a dream sheet. And they call it a dream sheet because it's a dream. There's no guarantee that you're going to get those bases, things like that. It's just kind of the luck of the draw.
Did you put Hawaii on your dream sheet?
Hawaii was my number one.
Hell yeah.
It was either I wanted Hawaii, Japan, or Germany. Those were my top 3. And so that 30-day hits, I pull up mine, and I immediately, the first words I see are Pearl Harbor. I don't even read the rest. I'm just like,
Stoked.
hold up. I call my parents, I call my sister, I text him, and I'm just like, dude, I'm going to Hawaii.
Crazy.
And then it tells you like how long you're going to be there. So I'm here till 2023.
2023 on assignment.
Yep. So I'm here.
And then what will occur? A break period or a relocation period or?
So it varies. If my job is still critically manned here, so if they need me to stay, they will give me the option to stay. So I can extend my tour in Hawaii, or I'll be relocated to a different base.
Are you at the base that Edward Snowden was working with?
Good old Snowden. Yes. Yes. So he didn't work on base.
Right. He was a private contractor, right? He wasn't actually in the military.
Correct. So Edward Snowden was I wonder how many watch lists we could hang.
I feel like a lot of people know, but there might be younger folks that don't understand anything of what we're saying right now.
So Snowden, he was a contractor. He works with the NSA, the National Security Agency. Huge conspiracy theories, things like that. But the man essentially sold secrets to Russia. Escaped from being arrested, and now he's living in Russia, is what people say. But I'm doing a similar job to what you see in the movie.
Sure. Yeah. If people wanted reference or context to something that's like that.
Yeah,
What is
so-
your, this is one of my questions for later down the road, but since we brought this topic up now, what is your interpretation of Snowden and that situation? Like your just a personal opinion.
So personal opinion, I mean, obviously you're not always going to agree with
Of course.
the job or the government, things like that.
Sure.
But we all signed an agreement saying that, hey, this is what I'm going to do. This is what I can say. This is the things that I'm not allowed to say.
Right.
We all have that. It's in writing. I have sold my soul multiple times at this point. Not going to break that, and I don't see why anyone would.
Right.
No amount of money, in my opinion, can, like, this is my home. There's nothing that I'm going to do to ruin my home.
Right.
That's just my personal philosophy.
I think a lot of people would hold that philosophy. Like you would think you don't want to ruin your own
Yeah.
home, right?
Right. Like, especially to like Russia or China, things like that. Like,
Sure. That was another question I wanted to ask too. In your personal opinion, who is our biggest national security threat currently to the United States? You know, we got a lot going on with China. They got the Silk Road. They've got everything they're developing over there. We've got Russia. They're crazy good at hacking. They got all sorts of misplay going on with Ukraine. Who right now is sitting as the kingpin in your opinion? As our biggest threat?
As our biggest threat, China and Russia are very close.
Okay.
So when 9/11 happened, they were what's called a near peer adversary. So they weren't at the same level as us. If we did go to war, we had better technology, better tools, everything like that. But then we go to war in the Middle East, and all of our focus is the war on terror.
Yep.
So all of our resources are piled toward that. Like, all of our technology that we have is being piled toward that. And then finally, we take a step back and we take a look around and we see China and Russia, and we're like, oh shit, they're almost the same as us now, if not the same. So now they're essentially peer-to-peer adversaries with us because we were so sidetracked with the war on terror that they caught up. And in some cases, some would say they surpassed the US in certain areas.
Yeah.
So those two, I would say, are kind of the biggest threat to us when it comes to like nukes. Russia definitely takes the cake.
Okay.
When it comes to
Economic slow domination and a long play, China.
That's China, 100%.
Yeah.
When it comes to, and just the sheer bodies China has too. Because China, their population is so high that if we did go to war with them, or anyone goes to war
We would
with
be
China,
outnumbered man-wise.
exactly, because they would just keep on throwing people at us until we didn't have any men left.
Now, I mean, you're in a technological space with what you're doing. Don't you think that the next frontier of fighting, if we were to see a World War III, would happen in a different regard, using a lot more cyber warfare, EMPs, drones, some of these further along technologies? Do you think it would really come down to a hand-to-hand combat situation?
So it definitely, a lot of it would be on the technological side, the computer systems, the economy, things like that. But there will still always be men on the ground. It's always going to be that way. Maybe not as much, but there will always be a frontal offensive of people on the ground being in the front line, no matter what.
Sure.
No matter how far along that we get, there will always be men on the front line.
Sure.
And again, all this is my opinion too. So
right, exactly. But no, it's interesting to get different takes on situations.
100%. And a lot of people, like, I know even some of my own friends will be like, oh, if we go to war, we'll just drop a nuke on them. It doesn't work like that.
Yeah.
Because the thing with nuclear warfare is
how about
has it at
20,
this
30
point.
years of repercussions? That's crazy afterwards.
So there's that too, but there's also everyone has nukes at this point. It's
Yeah.
not just us anymore. Like when we dropped a nuke on Japan in World War II, it was only us that had them. We developed this technology and we used it to its full advantage.
Yeah.
But now everyone has them. Russia, China, countries in the Middle East, our allies now. Everyone has nukes at this point. And say we did go to war with China or Russia. If someone launched a nuke, say China launches a nuke at us, one of our allies will launch a nuke at China.
Right.
And then one of China's allies will launch a nuke at that ally. And then one of their allies will launch, etc.
So it's gotten to a point where it's such a it's like such a big power threat game that it will just demolish all of civilization as we know
Yeah,
it.
the planet would just explode.
So it's the clause of mutual destruction, essentially, where one person launches a nuke, we're all screwed. And it would actually, with that much going on, it wouldn't, even if some people did survive the actual explosions, the fallout, it would put the planet in a new ice age, a nuclear winter, because the sun would be blocked out from all the ash and debris that would just be skyrocketed into the atmosphere.
Sure.
So there'd be no sun, everything would die, essentially. And it would just be a barren wasteland.
Wow. So that puts an interesting space on it, or spin on it. I wanted to ask you, space race. What do you think of that? What do you think of everything going on there? Maybe even touch a little bit. Do you know about Starlink and what Elon's doing, and what's your thoughts on that?
So when it comes to like the space frontier, I don't keep up a whole lot on it. What I do know, I mean, space it has a ton of untapped resources, obviously. But say we do make it to space, colonization on Mars, whatever happens, what's going to stop humans from destroying it like they've destroyed the Earth?
Right.
Like, that's unfortunately, as cruel as this is going to sound, humans are almost like parasites. We will bend anything we can to our advantage until it's gone.
Yeah.
To suit our needs. Say we get to Mars or another planet that can have life on it. What's to say that that's not going to happen?
Sure. So I wanted to, could you define, in the definition of a fusion analyst was the word telecommunications. What are all the facets that could be a telecommunication? Is this just radio wave signals? Is this just text messages and SMGing? Is this just phone calls? Is this all of the above? Is this something more like data and coding that I'm not even thinking about? What is that word? And is that a really broad word?
So telecommunications is a huge spectrum of things. Because a lot of our technology is always emitting some sort of radio wave. And yeah, radio waves are part of it, but there's also the data rates of it. Like now calls can be transferred over Wi-Fi like this right now.
Yeah.
That we're doing. So that is all telecommunication in some way, shape, or form. Things like Zoom, Skype, cell phone call, text message, Snapchat, all of this is some form of telecommunication. So it's a very broad term.
Got it.
If he says something wrong right now, it'd just be stormed.
I told Chris before we started, I said, I want to ask such a good question that I upload this and 2 weeks later I get a notice that it was flagged and taken down. Because that would be such a good story. Like, hey, we uncovered the aliens. They had to take us down.
No, I'm sure you can see how I'm thinking through the question too.
Yeah.
To
No,
make sure I'm not.
it's brilliant. But I
It's
had
interesting.
on too. I've had on a few other military people, and all of you guys are very calculated in your analysis and answering of how you disseminate your information that you know.
They're hiding shit, bro.
I don't even think it's hiding
Telling
shit.
you.
I think it's it's that whole thing we talked about the cognitive awareness from your position, like of the training you have.
Yeah.
It's
So
cool.
It is really
it's definitely a mixture of things. Obviously, yes, we do. There's certain things that I can't say. So that's why for any question that you ask, I will definitely be thinking of, hey, throw this information away, but I can say
Right.
this and just.
So fusion analysts, are there fusion analysts in the Army, fusion analysts in the Navy, fusion analysts in the Air Force, fusion analysts in the, you know what I'm trying to
So,
get at? Like, or is it
yeah,
just like you're
yeah.
working just with the Air Force?
So Fusion Analyst, my job description, job code is an Air Force specific. However, there are equivalents to my job in the other branches as well.
Got it.
Oh, cool.
So it's not just an Air Force thing, but like I said, I work with Army, Navy, Marines, etc. And there
Okay.
are equivalents to what I do that I work with in the other branches.
Is your mission tasking based on geographic location or based on merely what your leadership is disseminating to you is the mission?
So a mixture of things. So geographic location definitely is a part of it. So being in the middle of the Pacific, then a lot of the mission sets here are somewhere in the Pacific.
That makes sense. So like the sort of like if you're in a base in an area, it's like you kind of think of it like a geotag when I'm doing like my business marketing.
Yeah.
Like you're gonna
100%.
check a radius.
Exactly. So mission sets are all different based on location, office, things like that. So my squadron, we have people that work different missions in my squadron.
Oh, really? So you guys aren't all on the same case or mission?
No. So we all work separate things as well. So I have friends that'll work one mission, and then I'm over here working my specific mission. And then I have people in a different squadron that are the same job as me that are working completely different missions. So I've been able to see like the different aspects of the different places that I can be. And honestly, I love where I landed with my job
That's awesome.
and my mission. My mission, as tedious as it can be, it is a lot of fun.
Okay. Now, is there coding and programming involved, or are you mostly reading things?
So it varies.
Like I guess I want to ask this in a better way. If I'm a kid right now and I were to think to myself, I want to go try something like this or do something like this for one of the branches, what types of things should I be working on? Should I be looking at programming? Should I be looking at numbers and charts? Should I be, what are some skill sets that you have to like use in your decoding process?
So I don't code personally. I've never had to code. I don't know how to code. So it varies. Like my job as a fusion analyst, we can do so many things because I have friends that do code and they're the same job as me.
Interesting.
It all depends on where we land with our mission. Because even since I've gotten here, I've gone through. I got here in December. I'm still learning things, and I'm still doing some on-the-job training type stuff.
Do you have a supervisor, a peer, or someone like that that's teaching you as you're going?
Yeah. So I have my my team on the work side, and I also have my Air Force supervisor. My Air Force supervisor essentially is to make sure that I'm not an idiot, that I'm not getting in trouble, not being a moron, and sticking to the values that are for the Air Force. On the work side, I have my team, I have my supervisor for that team that kind of helps with the training. We have an actual training manager at the job to actually do those things.
That's really cool. And are you could you give me like a try and place me in the room. If I close my eyes or I'm listening into my headphones right now, what is the room like? Is it cubicles? Is this like Wall Street, Wolf of Wall Street, where it's just phone after phone and you guys are all just like, yeah, passing notes back and forth? Or is this like you're in a closed door 5x5 space? Or
So it is a open environment. You could stand up and you could see to the other side of the office, and it's just a giant cubicle area.
Interesting. Huh. Okay, cool.
So yeah, the cubicle area is just, it's wide open.
So what was it like when you first show up in Hawaii after you're leaving Texas?
So I actually took leave en route to Hawaii. I stayed at home for 2 weeks.
Oh. Nice.
So it ended up being perfect where I got my orders to leave Texas. And so I was like, hey, I'm taking 2 weeks of leave en route from Texas to Hawaii. Like, okay, cool, whatever. Just you have to report no later than this date. So I surprised my parents coming home. They didn't know I was coming home.
Nice. Is this the first time you're seeing them since you got your medals, you passed, everything?
So that was the first time I see my parents since I left. And so I tell my sisters, like, hey, I have my orders to leave. Like, I'm gonna take 2 weeks of leave to come home. I need you to pick me up from the airport, and we're gonna do this and this. So I tell my sisters when I'm gonna land. My sister Jessica picks me up from the airport, and I have my bags. I have too many damn bags.
You have your civilian, your military
Yep,
bag.
Exactly.
Everything.
I had 3 duffel bags and a backpack. Yeah, it's a lot of shit that we lug around because it's my entire life that I've built in Texas that I'm coming and bringing back home.
Yeah.
And then when I leave home, I'm transferring my entire life to here now. So I have my sister pick me up, and she takes me directly to my other sister's house because my parents were already going over to my other sister's house for dinner that night. So I'm there a few hours before my parents get there. They have no clue that I'm coming home, that I will be home, etc. So my parents finally get to my sister's house, and I'm just chilling at their dinner table, and I'm in my camis, my camouflage, and I'm just chilling. And my parents walk. My sister's house is laid out so that there's like a hallway before you turn the corner, and there's the kitchen.
Oh,
so
nice.
I hear them come in. I'm sitting there, and then my dad turns that corner first. He just goes, "Whoa!" That's my dad. That's it.
Yeah.
And my mom turns the corner next, and she just starts screaming and crying.
Yeah.
Like Chris knows how my parents are.
Yeah. They're so sweet. I love them. I miss them so much.
They're waiting for you to come over for dinner, bro. All you gotta do is text mom and dad.
I'm in Illinois again. I really should.
Illinois.
Yeah. So. And I know they're gonna watch it. So shout out. Hi, Mr. and Mrs. Kurbyun.
Mom and dad. It's a pleasure to meet you guys.
Yeah. But yeah, all you have to do is text mom or dad, and
that would be fun.
That'll make curry rice for you.
Oh, that sounds insane.
You'll sit at my spot at the dinner table.
Yes.
Yeah, literally. So you're there till 2020. Are you on the same mission till 2023?
So there's a possibility that I'll be jumping from office to office, mission to mission. It all depends on the needs of the Airforce, the needs that are arising at that time. As of right now, the near future, I will be on this mission for the next few years. But if something happens and they need me somewhere else, then I'll be moved.
What is one of the biggest misconceptions you would say of your work as a fusion analyst and your branch of the military in general?
That's tough because a lot of the stereotypes are true. When it comes to
that's a good clickbait line right there for like a ad reel.
When it comes to like
what you think is true.
Yeah.
when it comes to like the memes that you see about the branches of the military, like you see the Marines as like, ooh rah, I wish this could suck more. Like there was one, I think I sent it to Chris. It was like the Army will sleep under the stars, the Navy will navigate by the stars, and then the last one was the Air Force will choose its hotel months by its stars. And the thing is, that's somewhat accurate. Like my living conditions compared to Army or Marine friends or even Navy friends. I have Air Force friends that live in Navy dorms and they'll come over here to hang out because I just have so much more room.
Wow. Dang.
You're living in luxury, like you were saying. What do
It
you get
is.
time to leave base and just go hang out in Hawaii and go like surfing or do
absolutely.
other stuff?
Absolutely. So anytime that like I'm off work, I am free to do whatever I want as long as I don't die and show up to work the next day.
What's been the best part about living in Hawaii?
The weather.
Yeah.
Yes, dude.
I don't have to deal with snow. It doesn't drop below 60 degrees ever.
That's
like,
crazy, dude.
I love it. I have worn jeans twice being here, and that's because I was told to wear jeans.
Wow. Dang.
Like the weather's great. I bought a convertible when I came out here, so I drive around with the top down all the time.
What
kind
of convertible
over
there?
Huh?
What kind of convertible?
What's a car model?
It's a Jaguar F-Type.
Oh yes, bro.
Oh my gosh.
Asshole. God.
Dang, that's fun. I'm sure.
Yeah,
How are the roads out there? Is it fun to drive up there?
The roads are shit.
Really?
Like,
Really?
You think Chicago has potholes? Hawaii has potholes too.
That's it. Wow.
So it rains every day here. Even if it only rains for an hour or two, it still rains every day. And we're surrounded by wilderness. Like, yeah, we have Honolulu here, but we're still surrounded. Like, if I drive 30 minutes north, all I see is mountains and forest.
Wow.
Like, they filmed Jurassic World here on this island. And you see the amount of like wilderness around, like Jurassic World movie.
So have you gone on insane hikes?
So hiking.
Yeah, it's a sensitive subject.
So I've been on 2 hikes since I've gotten here. The first hike I went on, I did some dumb things because 2 days prior to that hike, I hadn't eaten. And 2 days prior to that hike, I hadn't drank any water. The only fluid that I had in my system was from the night before, and it was rum and Coke.
Oh.
So I say, screw it. I'm going on this hike with my friends.
You're so dehydrated before you even start.
I'm so dehydrated. I brought one full hydro flask is all I brought. And so we start this hike, and I'm making it through. And then we get close to the top, and I'm starting to get like dizzy, things like that. And so the hike started getting super steep. Like you were essentially rock climbing at the point, for this hike. And I don't lift my leg enough to get to the next foothold. And I bashed my knee against a boulder.
Oh.
And I ended up needing 5 or 6 stitches in my knee.
Did you continue on the hike or did you go down?
Yeah, I was there.
I continued up the hike.
Hell yeah.
I kept on going up. I made it to like the next plateau where I could like get a good view and be like, okay, I made it up to this point. Like I could sit down, I could take a look at my knee and call it a day. I didn't even realize I busted my knee open until I'm walking. So I patch my knee, I feel the rock hit my knee, I look down and I just see white. So I think nothing of it because I'm a white boy.
Yeah.
So I keep going. And then I get to this next plateau and my knee's really hurting. And I look down and it's just pouring blood out of it. And I'm just like, oh, was the white bone?
Yeah.
And this is my thought process, right, in that moment. So I sit down, and my friends went up to the next plateau. Like, they kind of just left my ass behind. Because I kind of slowed down because I was so dehydrated. I was kind of lagging behind.
Yeah.
So I call my friend, and I'm just like, hey, I busted myself. And she's just like, what do you mean you busted yourself? I'm just like, I'm bleeding.
Yeah.
And she was with one of our other friends, and I hear her be like, Ortiz, Kirby's bleeding. And they start coming back down. And I'm sitting there. This super nice Indian man gave me a bottle of water and a bandage and sprayed some peroxide on it.
He had all that with him. He was ready.
Oh, yeah.
He was ready. Way more prepared than I was. So I pour some of the water on the cut. And then I chug the rest of it. He sprays peroxide on it. We throw the Band-Aid on. And I wait for my friends and start hiking back down this mountain. We make it to the bottom, and two of our friends that were with us, they left. They came back to the base, whatever. And my friend Ferris stayed with me. He used to be an EMT, so she's saying like, "Let me take a look at it." And she's just like, "Yeah, you're gonna need stitches." I'm just like, "I don't need no damn stitches. I never had them before. I'll be fine." She's like, "No, I'm taking you to get stitches." And I'm looking at her like, "I'm driving." And she's just like, "Well, we're going to get stitches, and I will steal your keys if you make me."
Yeah.
So we call our insurance provider, because Terry all has the same insurance provider, and we get a referral to go to medical, get stitches, and that was the first hike I went on.
Oh no.
So I've been on one other hike, and it's called Cocoa Head Crater. It's one of the more tough hikes on the island because it's super steep. Every foothold is at least a foot higher than the last one. Like it's a tough hike. It's like a giant staircase, but the steps are just mad. I made it halfway up that, and I've been having issues with my left leg since basic training. And it starts in like my lower spine, lower back, kind of like glute area, and works its way down all the way to my toes. It feels like a sciatic issue, sciatic nerve issue. I'm finally getting it looked at. I haven't gotten it looked at until the other day. And so it's finally getting looked at, but with that hike, it was just killing me. Like I couldn't do this. So I made it halfway up, and then we went back down. I'm like, I'm sorry, but I'm just in pain.
Well, yeah. Yeah.
So
not much you can do then.
Not much I can do. So I'm finally getting my leg looked at as of earlier this week.
Cool.
That hike happened months ago.
Well,
Wow.
I've been toughing out this whatever's wrong with me for about a year now.
Did you X-rays or something?
So I get to the doctor's office. I think it was Monday. Yeah, Monday. Monday I went to the doctor, and she's giving me a mobility test, whatever. And she's like lifting my leg. It's pain. So that's the initial diagnosis. And then she's like, okay, I'm going to send you upstairs. We're going to do an x-ray on your lower back. I'm going to prescribe you 800 milligram ibuprofen, and you're going to do 3 months of physical therapy.
800 milligrams. That's to sedate an elephant.
Yeah.
It's a high dose of ibuprofen. And she said that I could take
I'm sure if it's a serious pain though.
Oh yeah.
The ibuprofen helps a lot, which is nice. I take it in the morning, and normally it'll last me till I'm winding down for the night. But I'm going to be doing 3 months of physical therapy as well for my leg. I'm also on what's called a profile. It means they can't force me to run for the next 3 months. which is kind of nice.
There, yeah.
Good. And so I actually got the results of my X-ray back yesterday. And as soon as I got it back, I texted him and was like, "Hey, bro, I am messed up."
What happened? What is it?
It turns out, if this isn't the source of my pain, they said, but turns out my lower spine, from like the lumbar area to like my pelvis, vertebrae, all the bones fused together. And that's not even the source of the pain. Apparently I was born that way. She said that contributes to why I'm not flexible at all. But the bones in my lower spine, all the bones are just one bone, essentially.
That's so crazy.
It's essentially a birth defect. I was born.
Well, it's crazy how you just found that out
But
now.
that's not the root cause of the pain.
Yeah.
That's not the cause of the pain. So they said that if the physical therapy doesn't help, then they're going to give me an MRI. And I'm scared of doing an MRI because I just feel like I've been driving with my check engine light on and I don't want a diagnosis.
Right.
Yeah, you're like, I
right.
kind of want to stay in the dark on this one, but you never know.
Right.
Like, finding out might be better in the proactive, in the proactive phase.
Absolutely.
Yeah. But with the MRI too, I'm like, what if they find other issues? Like what happened with my back? Like, what if they find out like something seriously is wrong with my entire skeleton? Like, then what?
They'll take care of it, man. I mean, you got the best
Will they?
insurance ever.
I don't know, man. Military
As long as you could
healthcare-
still do your job, right?
Exactly. So as long as I can do my job, the Air Force won't separate me. But I do have to meet certain requirements when it comes to physical standards, things like that, in order to re-enlist if I decide to do that.
Got it. I was going to
so I won't
ask too. Oh, sorry. No, continue. I'm going to ask.
So when it comes to like re-enlistment, there are certain requirements that I have to hit in order to stay in if I chose to do so. But I won't get separated due to not being able to run.
Sure. Which
As of right
is
now.
good. Yeah.
Oh, absolutely.
Do you, in your head, trajectory-wise, plan on staying in this role, or is there other bigger roles you would like to go on to leadership-wise?
So my kind of path right now that I'm thinking of is, first, obviously, I'm going to finish my degree. I'm going to get a bachelor's degree in either some sort of computer science or technology.
Nice.
That's the trajectory that I'm thinking of. After that, I'm going to submit a package to commission as an officer, which would mean more leadership, more pay, tons of other benefits, because the officer life is even more bougie than normal Air Force life. So,
and you would be commanding and leading the project teams for what you're doing now, pretty much?
To a point. There's no guarantee that I would be working in this same area, things like that. But I would hope to be doing something similar, just in a more like leadership role.
That's cool.
Which would be cool. If that doesn't work, then I would probably either use that degree to either contract and do a similar job I'm doing now, or apply to work for the FBI or CIA.
Nice. Which would be I think it would correlate well for an overlap into a retirement into one of those agencies.
Absolutely. 100%.
How would you describe the ethic code of the Air Force?
So the ethic code of the Air Force is actually really like high. Morals are super high for us. We have 3 like core values, which are service before self, integrity first, and excellence in all we do are our 3 core values, which essentially means have integrity, do what's right no matter what, service before self, the mission, the job, the people come first before your own personal life. Like, that's why before I joined, if you saw me up at 4 a.m, it means I never went to sleep.
Yeah.
Now I'm up at 4 a.m. and it just feels normal. I'm up, I'm out of bed, I'm eating breakfast and getting ready for my day. And I'm just used to that now. And that's just who I am now. And then excellence in all we do is just don't half-ass anything.
Right.
So when it comes to values and like morals, Airforce is definitely, it's prominent in everything that we do. And they even, depending on the squadron you go to, my squadron is really good at it, is making sure that our morale is good. Like they want to make sure that we're all taken care of, like we're all happy, we're all enjoying our lives and not depressed, things like that. And the resources that we have, if we do get depressed or are anxious, the resources are tremendous. They have mental health care. They have chaplains, which are pretty much military pastors. And they're 100% confidential. Like you can tell them, hey, I'm going to go do this, this, and this. And they can't tell a soul. It's 100. Chaplains are the most gangster people you'll ever meet on a military base because they can't.
Yeah. Wow. That's really nice though that they have these sound humanistic and things that we need as humans just as backing boards to deal with life.
Absolutely. Like
I wanted to ask, is your project detailing or tasks that you're working on changed based on the recent hackings and cyber attacks that have been happening at in the United States?
I'm sure some team has changed.
Sure.
When it comes to my team, not really.
My follow-up question is, what do you think of all of the recent occurrences? I mean, we had with the wind turbine company, we had Russia and that cyber attack, and then recently with the oil company and that going on. What are your thoughts on all that?
So I actually haven't really been keeping up too much on it personally, which is probably something I should keep up on. But when it comes to the news, my main source of news is all at work. And that's on a specific area. Like I don't really like we have teams to focus on those other areas. My area is my area, so I'm filling my head with that background knowledge mainly. So when it comes to like Russian hacking, things like that, I'm just like, okay, I know that there's people on this already, so I don't really have to pay attention to it.
That makes sense. Yeah, you're really like detail centric on your mission, like
exactly
segment you're focused on.
It's getting to the point where like there's been a few nights where I wake up in the middle of the night thinking of what I was doing at work or what I need to do the next day, and I'm already halfway through that task in my head.
You're just so ready to go.
It's getting to that point where like the systems that we use at work, I see the entire layout in my own mind, and I'm essentially moving data in my own mind. It's really weird, and it freaks me out
so
sometimes.
Cool.
That's pretty sweet.
I don't even. I'm curious to see later down the road when I catch up with you again how that experience is going on. If that happens even more, like.
It probably will, like, because a lot of the people I work with, so I work with linguists as well. So people that are trained by the military to speak another language.
Sure.
And
so cool, man.
I have.
Are you decoding audio? Will you get MP3s in another language and have to sit there and decode that yourself?
Some people will.
Some people will. Okay. I love this. This is so much fun. Oh, this is a good question. Is there advanced telecommunication softwares or tools you guys use that the civilian market doesn't know about or wouldn't know about?
I mean, if there was, I wouldn't be able to say anything about
it. Hey, I had to try, right?
Yeah. Right.
Yes, I get it 100%.
Do you guys have like, are you able to like, do you guys have the ability to like just tap in anywhere? Like, is there like 3D devices that just transfer data, or is this I don't know, is this something that anyone could learn and it's just like you guys just exploit them to another degree?
Anyone. So what I do, anyone can learn. It's honestly,
it's not like you have a special software that puts you above anything else in regards to like what you can do.
No, not at all. If you have the right tools, the right stuff, anyone can learn. the job pretty, I wouldn't say easily. It does take time to get your mind to think that way. But that's the main thing, is getting over your own brain.
Is the tasking and objectives more politically driven or more militaristically driven? Like based on the agenda of which, I guess, more?
It's a bit of both, honestly. When it comes to how they assign missions, it's definitely, they take all different factors into consideration. It's not like, hey, this happened, so we have to task this. No, it's definitely a very open panel of just like weighing where our resources would best be utilized.
Right.
Just because, yeah, it seems like the military has all the money in the world, but there are still budgets. There are still reasons that certain things have to be allocated to this area and not this area.
Sure. Yeah, it's like, right, you could have 10 evils, but which evil is going to be the most worst today, you know?
Exactly. Which is why resources are always allocated to certain areas at certain times, to even the time of year sometimes determines what area gets that resource.
So how do we combat adversaries with these similar technologies to what you guys are doing? Because clearly, if we are doing this, there's other countries, other intelligence agencies. Is that something you're worried about on your base, or you're focused on, or is that something you have to ever think about? Or do you are your computers always wiping themselves just to make sure there's no trace or track? Like, how do you guys defend against the same things that you guys use?
So obviously, yeah, other countries, our adversaries, have similar technology to us. And there's always different counterintelligence ways around it. That's about the extent that I can touch on that.
Sure. And counterintelligence isn't something that we're always doing. Is it only like, okay, this specific altercation would need counterintelligence? Or is it like virus protection on a computer? We're always doing it.
So there's always some sort of counterintelligence, because you can have passive counterintelligence, kind of like a firewall on a computer or a virus protection. It's passive. But then there's also active counterintelligence, and then there's also counterintelligence, where shit just crazy.
Wait, counter meaning it counters the counter.
Correct.
Wow.
That's brilliant.
Wow.
What advancements are you excited for in the next 10 to 15 years that you think could reflect on the work that you do day to day?
Honestly, I don't know where things are going when it comes to advancements. Yeah, faster computers, better technology, things like that are going to be great. But I'm honestly not sure what the next tool that I'm going to be able to use is, or I don't know if my Wi-Fi is going to shut out tomorrow. I don't know what's going to happen.
Sure. Is there a symbiotic relationship yet with AI and machine learning and your role? Do you guys use AI on a daily basis? Is that something that's incorporated?
I don't personally use it, but I know there are teams that have
probably the same teams that are coding are using stuff like that.
Yeah, teams that have to code things and scripting, things like that. There is a bit more AI to that. We have a lot of automated processes that we've had people code for us. But a machine can't think like a human can. Not yet, at least. They can get damn close sometimes, but the human element definitely helps a lot in certain things.
Yeah, that is very true. Actually, to kind of chime in here, I did recently find an article of article being video that showed Google that Google has actually created like the Google Assistant.
Yeah,
that's always been a thing, but they're finally like allowing it to make calls for you, and it's like scary realistic. Like they'll set appointments, they'll order pizza, like these crazy things that you're just like, hey Google,
And it will
Make me
functionally
appointment.
respond to a
Yeah.
receptionist on the
but
other
it
end.
sounds like a legit human. Like if you're on the other line, you would not know the difference if it was a real human or if it was just freaking Google talking to you. It's crazy. I
That
mean,
would
my
be-
phone
I would-
already,
I would love to use that for counter intelligence.
right? That would be
It's-
insane.
The way technology is going, there's a lot of cool stuff that's being worked on. So since I wear contacts, I always had a fascination with like Google glasses or Google lenses.
Yeah.
That was always a fascination of mine, like being able to see augmented reality over your actual vision. There's actually contact lenses that companies are working on like that.
I was gonna
where
say they have glasses for colorblind people, right? Now too.
they do. So the glasses, my roommate back at Goodfellow actually had some. He was colorblind as well.
Did you use them?
I did. So I can see color. I'm not just gray and white and black. I can see
Yeah.
color. It's just there's certain shades that my eye can't differentiate between. So when I tried on his glasses, like we were in some like botanical garden when I took them from him and tried them on. And it wasn't like the videos where you see like people crying, like, oh my God, this is how this feels.
Yeah.
But it was a little bit like overwhelming for my eyes because everything just became so much more vibrant. The way like I see things, everything's very mute. Like, yeah, I see color, I can see bright color, but it's not like in your face, like, hey, I'm right here type thing.
Yeah.
Everything's still very muted and still very like mellow.
Wow.
But I put those glasses on, especially in like this garden where there's flowers everywhere. It overloaded me a little bit. And I'm just like, this is how you see the world all the time. How do you do it?
That's
My brain would be overloaded.
Were you actually able to see the color like that you can't normally see? Like,
So I was able to see like different shades that I normally can't see. And like the transition.
Yeah, you might see like just red, but now you saw
Right.
like red A, B, C, D, you know, it's like
Exactly. It was really weird. Like, because there was this one like blue purple flower. And when I didn't have the glasses on, I see blue and I see what my mind says is purple, which is like very pinkish. I have trouble seeing purple. I always have.
yeah.
But I
remember when you
glasses
told me
on.
that for the first time. Sorry to cut you off, but I do remember.
No, you're good.
It was Spanish class. It was
We took Spanish too?
it was oral communications. Yeah, but it was like half Spanish.
Was that with Miss Livingston?
Yeah.
Oh my
That was the
God.
first time because I was shook. I was like, because we were coloring something, and I don't remember what. Actually, it was a book about me. Like we had an assignment where it was just like every page you had to put like a picture of you or your family or whatever, and you had to like describe it in Spanish. And I was like coloring over the letters or something with purple, and I honestly don't know how it was brought up, but that's when you told me, and I was like, no, like you can't see this. I was like, what? Like you think this is blue? That's so crazy.
Didn't Miss Livingston get pregnant that year?
Yeah, that's when she left. Yeah.
Yeah, she got preggo and she was just mean the entire time.
Yeah,
Oh, that's worse.
she had that was a process. But yeah, it was interesting. It was interesting.
Yeah. So
wow.
I put these glasses on and I was able to see like the purple for one, and then I was able to see the shades of transition into blue. Like, because this flower, it was
so
gorgeous.
cool.
It was beautiful.
That's really
but
cool.
I was able to see like the blue turn into purple.
Wow.
Whereas my regular vision is just like blue, pinkish color.
That's so crazy.
I always
Yeah.
like to ask because I want to wrap up here shortly. I know it's getting fairly late for us over here. I always ask every guest.
What should you talk about? It's still early.
Yeah, no,
Yeah,
it's what? It's like
it's like 5 o'clock, 4 o'clock.
4 o'clock for you,
It's
maybe.
it's about 5:30.
Wow. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
almost 11
Yeah,
here.
it's almost-
I got a lot of daylight left, dude.
Oh man.
Yeah, man, you get to still go have dinner and do everything. I mean, I'm
I-
gonna eat something because I haven't eaten dinner yet. But
Yeah.
I probably won't eat the rest of the day, honestly.
Really.
I don't
tell
eat
me
a
about
lot,
this. Is this like a breakfast at 4 a.m. and then I'm good the rest of the day type of thing?
so I can do that. I do that fairly often, actually.
Insane.
I
Just
don't
like
eat a
intermittent
lot.
fasting.
I guess so. I don't get the urge to eat. I don't get hungry. Like I don't have that response of, hey, I'm hungry. Or if I do, it is very, very infrequent.
I need those genes.
And then he has a crumb when he's full.
Like so I
you
eat
take in
breakfast at
some
4.
air and you're good.
I eat eggs,
Hey,
sausage, and
Mumble.
cheese for breakfast every morning. I meal prep on Sunday.
Yes.
So I just eat eggs, sausage, and cheese with some cheese on top of it.
Welcome to I make over easy eggs
Yeah.
and sausage patties every morning
Yeah.
on the morning.
So
Yeah.
mine's scrambled with sausage inside of the scrambled eggs.
You like break up the
Um,
sausage, yeah. You like make a little
yep.
scramble.
Yep. And I meal prep it Sunday, and I just scoop it out of a bowl, heat it up, and eat that throughout the week.
Smart.
Because you think I'm gonna cook it 4 in the morning?
Do you even have? Is there like a mess house or something you can go eat at?
So we have a dining facility right across the street, but I don't work on base. So because I don't have access to a dining facility during the workday, I don't eat at the dining facility. I get extra pay so I can buy food.
Yeah, you just
Yeah.
stipend yourself for food. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's smart.
Yeah. So I get the basic allowance for sustenance, BAS.
Nice.
Extra on my paycheck, whereas most people that live in the barracks don't get that. They just run across the street and eat.
Yeah, use a meal
Nice.
card or whatever.
Yeah. Yeah.
Exactly.
Interesting.
So I eat breakfast, and then at work I'll just snack on sunflower seeds. Literally,
High in
I'll
protein, good sodium too.
Yep. Yeah.
a lot of sodium.
Yeah.
Chugging
A
down
lot of
those hydro flasks.
Yeah.
Pretty much. I go through probably 2 or 3 a day at work, which is good. I need
That's
the
very
water.
Yeah.
Did you need to be day to day? Do you need to be a better writer or a better reader?
That's a lot of both, honestly. Because just the amount of information that I see on a daily basis, that's why my brain is just off by the time I leave work.
Yeah, I'm sure.
Like,
Yeah, you
there's
don't
this-
want to look at anything. You just want to decompress.
Mhm. Like I have to put on my brain cells in the morning. That's how bad it gets. Like I get home, my brain cells off. I leave for work, I got to turn them all on again.
Yeah.
Because I come home and after work, a lot of times I'll work out at least 3 times a week. And then I'll literally put on some shorts, have no shirt on, and just lay in bed and watch Netflix the rest of the night.
No. Nice.
Because you just go so hard during the hours that you're on.
Yeah, man.
Pretty much. That's how it is. Like, yeah, there are days where I will just mess around or like take breaks to mess around. And the office is cool with that. Like there's certain times where we could literally like stop and go just talk with friends. And then
really nice.
take that break and then go back to work.
Is there always
No.
work to do? There's never like a downtime, like, oh, I've completed today's tasks.
There's never downtime. There's always some sort of side project that can be done. If you're done with your main task, then you have your secondary and third task.
Got it.
So that eating sunflower seeds at work. When I do work out, I'll chug a protein shake right afterward. And a lot of times I won't eat the rest of the day after that protein shake. If I don't work out, then I'll have some chicken or maybe a few sausage links or some taquitos and call it a day. And if anything else, then I just snack on some like the rest of the night.
Okay. Yeah. I see you. It wouldn't work for me, but I like it. I like it.
Yeah, I
It's-
wish that was the case.
It doesn't work for most people. Like all my friends will look at me and be like, dude, how do you just not eat when you're at work? You're here for 8 hours a day.
Literally.
And I'm just like, I just don't get hungry. Like, I'm so focused on my work.
I think
There's
you
been
access
days-
this like deep state learning space. There's this psychological principle I've been listening to this neuroscience guy talk about, and it's called deep state focus. And it sounds to me almost as if you access that place almost every time you go into work.
Yeah.
Possibly, honestly. Like, there's been times, like, even before I joined the military, being a car guy, I was always washing my car because back home I have a 2015 Camaro SS. Well,
Nice.
and there were days where I would be washing it while working on it and not eat for 12 hours because I'm just so focused on my task. And I've probably told him, or he's probably been there for some of it, where I'm just so focused on something, and he'll look at me and be like, "Bro, are you gonna eat?" I'm just like, "What do you mean?" He's like, "Spend like 8 hours."
Yeah, I'm like, I'm hungry. We need to go eat now. And there's a lot of truth to that. Because I mean, I know even now with my current position and working with you guys,
Well, we
It's
had
like-
really unconventional hours.
it is, but it's almost like an inconvenience. It's
It
like
is.
my stomach hurts.
It is.
I need to eat, but it's like I have things that I need and want to do. So it's
It
like,
is.
it's one of those like, okay, we need to get food just so my stomach just stops being
Can
annoying.
survive.
Yeah, and it's like I can continue to work and not
Right. See, I don't get that pain. That pain just doesn't happen. Either
Yeah,
I think I've just been doing this kind of thing for so long that my stomach is just like, well, screw it. He ain't gonna listen anyway.
Yeah, your stomach's just like, all right, I'm ready to be in starvation
like,
mode now.
Whatever.
It's
Right.
just in its primal instinct.
Give me water.
I just drink water and eat sunflower seeds at work. And people will see that and be like, what is wrong with you? Absolutely nothing.
It's like it sounds like a rock climber, like Alex Holden and them. Those guys would do
Mhm.
very similar pattern of routine. Hearty,
Yeah.
protein heavy breakfast, very light throughout the day, just because
Mm.
they're so focused.
Yeah. And like I get on Chris all the time. I always tell him to go to the gym and work out all the
Yes, dude.
time.
Thank you. I will get him. I will make him come with.
And I always
Let's
am
do
like
it.
telling him
When was
like,
the last time you were at a gym, my friend?
Last time I was at a gym 2 weeks ago. I went to gym 2 weeks ago. Remember, I went one day.
I think you were supposed to because that was your MMA stuff, wasn't it?
Oh yeah, that too.
And then you canceled it because of a podcast.
These podcasts have been ruining my evening schedules just because like I'm filming these in the evening. It's either in the evening or way early in the morning.
yeah, I get that. But like, so me, like, I work out here at home. I do either calisthenics, so push-ups, sit-ups, things like that, or I have a set of dumbbells that I lift with
That's good.
here in my
We
room.
have done yoga a couple times though.
Yeah, yoga for days.
Yeah.
I'm not flexible. I can't do yoga.
That's right, because it's a fine thing.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. So I'll work out here, and afterward, like I've sent him like a 3-month span of like how I looked when I first started versus like 3 months later.
Yeah.
And I was just like, I straight up was like, hey, do you see a difference? Like, I don't really see because I'm with myself like every day.
Yeah. Right.
Oh, but your physique's probably always changing, I'm sure. It's
Absolutely.
adapting.
Yeah.
It adapts so quickly too. Like if I don't work out for a week, I see a noticeable difference in like my body versus if I work out 3 times in 1 week or more, immediately I start like getting somewhat cut again. My arms are visibly like bigger. It's really weird, especially because I don't really eat very much. So
bulking
putting
is
on-
hard. Yeah.
bulking is super hard for me. It always has been. Like before I left for the military, I was working out 5 days a week. And I wasn't bulking. I sent him pictures and I start just getting just cut. And
You'd probably have
that.
to eat like 4 pieces of chicken at lunch, 10 eggs for breakfast type
Yeah.
of thing.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, it would be like back when I was like working out 5 days a week, my breakfast was 3 eggs and mass gainer shake. And mass gainer, if you've ever had it, you know how like thick. It's like you're drinking just pure, like melted vanilla ice cream.
Interesting.
But you're drinking like a gallon of it. It feels like.
Man.
Like packing
it's
on
rough.
weight.
Yeah.
You're just trying to pack on, and this mass gainer shake, it's so thick that it's just like, oh my God. And then that was my breakfast. And then I wouldn't eat till dinner because that mass gainer shake just keeps you, I wouldn't have to eat for the rest of the day.
Sure.
But I would force myself to eat 2 pieces of chicken for dinner every night too, when I was going to the gym that frequently. Just because I was trying to put on muscle, put on weight. And it was a chore to eat. And I was just eating like lightly seasoned chicken breast with some ranch dressing for dinner every night because I'd be working. So just put that up in the microwave, eat that, and call it a day.
Yeah, keep going.
And then I went to basic, and I ruined myself. Basic training ruins that schedule that I was on. And with COVID, going to the gym, how I like going to the gym is super hard. Because when I was working out 5 days a week, I would go at 10 o'clock at night after work when nobody's in the gym. Because I don't want to deal with people.
Yeah, you're there just
especially
to work out.
Exactly. I want to go in. I don't want to wait on anyone. I don't want anyone waiting on me. Don't look at me. Don't talk to me. I'm going to get my stuff done. So I go in. I would get out within an hour or two. And I would feel good. Because of COVID, no gym really is 24 hours anymore. And if it is 24 hours, it's really hard to find a 24-hour gym. Right. The on-base gyms used to be 24 hours before COVID. Now they close at like 6 or 7. And while they are open, they kick you out every hour so they can sanitize the gym.
They were doing that. That's the worst because like I would show up specifically when I was at my school during that last semester before COVID. You'd show up, you get ready to go, and they'd be like, "Sorry, actually, it's our time window. We got to kick you out."
Right, and you're just like, my workout will be an hour to 2 hours, and I don't want to have to take a break between that unless I want to take a break between that.
Right.
Like, leave me alone. Let me do my stuff and get out of your hair, and then you could sanitize your gym.
Right.
Yeah. Right.
Especially like on a military base too. 80% of us are vaccinated now.
Sure.
Yeah.
So that vaccine, like, if you're so concerned about us getting it, first off, let us have our freedom to a point. At least don't kick us out of the gym every hour.
Right, exactly.
Let me work out without my mask, because working out with a mask is just god awful.
Oh, it is difficult.
Yeah.
It's not fun. It's endurance
It's
training
not
at that
fun
point.
at all. It's just annoying.
I wanted to ask, I ask every guest who comes on the show, from the life experience that you've had thus far, and of course, we're always growing, changing, and adapting. What is one piece of advice that you would leave or give to the audience?
That's tough. My best advice probably will be to not settle on the path that you're on, and always push forward for more. Don't get complacent. Complacency is toxic. If you settle down with what you're doing, you're going to get stuck there. Pick yourself up, keep going forward, and no matter what happens, at least you're moving forward. You might fail, but at least you're moving forward.
Right. That's a great one. Thank you so much. And really appreciated your time today, Chris. I would love to have you on again in the future. If you wouldn't mind, we'll run it back. We'll do a part 2.
Absolutely.
Easy.
Absolutely. Easy. No problem. Me and Chris have a ton of stories.
Yeah.
Oh, I can imagine, man. Just even this has been so simple to talk with you and just going back and forth and hearing your mindset, mentality on things. It's been quite interesting. So thank you again for the conversation.
Yeah. Thank you guys for having me. I'll be in touch. Chris, I talk to you every day.
I talk to you every day, man. Yeah, I love you, brother. Thanks for joining us.
Love you too, bro.